stress. Like, why this stress? Why this anxiety? Now consider, was the spiritual world called Vaikuntha? What's the meaning of the word Vaikuntha? Kunta means anxiety. Vaikuntha means no anxiety. Spiritual world is the world where there is no anxiety. Now compared to that, look at the material world, full of anxiety. Full of anxiety. Everyone is in such anxiety. Stress means what? Stress means intense anxiety that they can't deal with it. So that's why I say a 5-year-old boy is giving the instruction. The mere sense gratification through economic development are not to be performed. Don't get involved in those activities because ultimately they don't result into any satisfaction. You just, Prabhupada once used an expression. Work like a donkey to enjoy like a monkey. That is what is happening in today's world. People are working like a donkey. The donkey ass is famous for his stupidity. When someone is very stupid, what do we say? He's like an ass, don't we? In Hindi or Bengali, Gadha hai. Gadha. And donkey is famous for its stupidity. And donkey, why is stupid? It is, what's it called? The burden, bearing the burden of labor. For what? Just a little grass. There is so much grass all over, but the donkey thinks that unless he works so hard for his master, he won't get the grass at the end of the day. And when we consider the situation of today's world, isn't it somewhat like that? People think that unless I get a job and work like become a slave of somebody, I am not going to I won't be able to make my 2 ends meet. Those who are a little smarter, they get into business. Shudra, Vaishya. Please don't mind, I'm just presenting the scriptural facts. Shudra means one who works for others. Other 3 classes, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana, they don't work for others. They'll never work for others. Those who are coming from Vaishya families, they'll never take up a job. At least that was the principle. And nowadays they're taking up jobs. Agarwal, and this and that, they're taking up jobs. But the thing is that this taking up a job means becoming a Sudra, who cannot really decide for his own occupation what he should do. He depends upon others for his sustenance. That is the meaning of a Sudra. But the Brahmana, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they never depend upon others. They're independent. Like there was a time, this is an important thing to consider. Satyuga, the Brahmanas were dominating. Then gradually it started to change. Then in Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kshatriyas were dominating. And in Kali Yuga, Vaishyas are dominating. Like it is with money that the world is being controlled today. Previously, it was not controlled by money, it was controlled by military power. The kings used to rule with their might, with their power. But now, monarchy has been abolished. And as a result of that, the Vaishyas are dominating the society. And the thing is, most of the people have become Shudras and Vaishyas are leading. And the Vaishyas, what do? They compete with each other. Like we can see the world situation today. Like the whole world is actually trembling with fear now. Because Amazon is taking over everyone's business. So competition, survival for the fittest. If you're smarter, then you will dominate over others. And then it is being added with the development of technology, especially internet and this kind of communication system. People are taking advantage of that. And see how the competition is becoming more and more severe. Like previously there used to be many shops. Then it became like one shop, supermarket or whatever you want. One person. And they're smart people. Like for example, Walmart. The person who started the Walmart thing, he considered that why there should be a middleman. What was happening? Somebody used to produce, somebody used to buy the produce, sell it in wholesale, and then the retailers used to take it from that, and then the general customers. There were so many hands, it used to, and so many people had their livelihood. But companies like Walmart, I think he's the one started. See how smart he is. He thought, why should there be middleman? Cut the middleman and minimize the price and compete and like get the produce directly from the producers and give it to the customers. And by doing that, what he did, he actually got rid of all the middlemen. Now when they got rid of the middleman, what happened actually? Walmart became big and successful, and so many other people lost their business. Livelihood. There are shops, small shops. In street corners there used to be a shop and people used to come and buy things from the shop. But now, big supermarket. And all the shops, small people with shop owners, they lost their operation. So this is how this competition is actually causing so much distress. And I tell you, world is actually heading for a disaster. Interesting thing actually, I was listening to a tape by Srila Prabhupada. He's speaking in 1969. Shamsundar Prabhu told Prabhupada about computer. And one computer can do the job of 1,000 people. Then Prabhupada's immediate reaction was, that means 1,000 people will lose their job. 1,000 people will lose their jobs. See, in 1969, when computers were just a new thing coming into the world, Prabhupada is predicting what will happen. In a way, it has been a blessing for India, because all the IT people, Indians are very smart. So therefore, the IT, the information technology or computer science has been very nicely adopted by the Indians, and they're smarter, they're better than anybody else. Therefore, Indians are getting all the jobs of the computer. And the thing is that, statistics is saying, an Indian working in the IT profession earns about, in average, about $100,000 a year. And a normal American, what is their monthly income? Annual income? 40,000 in average. See, the Americans are earning 40,000 and the Indians are earning 100,000. Naturally, Trump is is trying to do something about it. And the thing is, in a way, is good. All these years, they have been exporting India. Now India is exporting the rest of the world. So, actually, India's economy is growing. Why is that? Because of this IT industry, information technology. So anyway, somebody benefits and somebody loses. India is benefiting, America is losing, Europe is losing. Yeah, the point that I was trying to make is that, see, Prabhupada said, one computer can do the job of 1,000 people. That means 1,000 people are losing their job, going to lose their jobs. Now, what is happening? Do you know the statistics? It's quite shocking. 50% of the youth of France are unemployed. The unemployment rate in France is 50%. Youth unemployment rate in France is 50%. I'm talking about 1 year, statistics from 1 year back. The unemployment rate in UK is 30%. Youth unemployment. It's unheard of. It's unheard of. Why is that? Because they are getting educated, but there is no job. Everybody is wanting to become an computer science, technologist, computer engineer, this engineer, that engineer. But how many jobs are there? Rather, the jobs are minimizing, jobs are reducing. But the number of educated people, qualified for the job, are increasing. And the time is going to come very soon. Worldwide, there will be a massive disaster due to unemployment. So see, economic development, what it leads to, that's what it's leading to. If we look at the world situation also, like America is dominating over the world, but for how long America's domination will last? Like China is coming forward, and there is a concern that China is going to become the world power. And I tell you, when China becomes world power, I don't know what the situation of the world will be. The world is fortunate that the America is leading the world today, because the American attitude is very generous and broad. But that's not going to be the thing. Like proof. Do you remember what China did in Tiananmen Square some years back? They mercilessly, indiscriminately just killed all the youth because they protested against the government. The government went and the military went and just wiped out. So when they are prepared to kill their own youth, how they're going to treat the rest of the world? So the point actually is this kind of economic development will ultimately lead to a massive disaster. On the other hand, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, there is no anxiety, depending upon Krishna. After all, Krishna is providing, isn't it? The food that you're buying, you are not buying it from Walmart or groceries or supermarket. The food that you are eating is provided by Krishna. The water that you are drinking, that's another thing. See how the world is degrading. In India, there is a very clear understanding that one should never take money by giving water. Meaning, water should never be sold. And today you can't get water without buying it. Water is being sold. In India, in cities, you notice, I'm sure many of you who have grown up in India have seen, like in summertime, in the street corners, there used to be this water, some people would give water. And some water, not only some water, some choked chana, peanuts, chickpeas. Because they know that giving water is piety. By giving water, you get piety. Like the rich people in those days used to dig wells, ponds, lakes, so that people can have access to water. But now, things are changing so bad. The water is being sold. And soon probably a time will come, quite probably will come, when you have to even buy oxygen. So this is how the world is degrading. Now should we submit to that critical situation, or should we try to counteract it? And what is the counteracting? Krishna consciousness. Surrender to Krishna. And when you depend upon Krishna, Krishna will provide. The other day I was giving the example, like there are so many such examples that how Krishna provides. Like, you know that Moses took the Jews from Egypt to Jerusalem. Yeah, Israel. What is the distance between Egypt and Jerusalem? About 400-500 miles, maybe even more. And what is the stretch in between? Desert. So thousands of people going through the desert for months together probably took them to travel on foot through the desert. Were they carrying a whole supply of foodstuff? No. Then how did they survive? God gave them the food called manna. Now, is it a fairy tale? No. This is factual. So these are the things that we have seen, like how the Lord takes care. So don't be worried about your food. He is giving the food through some natural arrangement, through the cultivation of land and from the trees and plants. But if it is necessary, He can provide. Just like that. Provided we depend upon Him. Therefore, the intelligent thing to do is just depend upon Him. And that doesn't mean the Vedas are saying, okay, don't do anything. No. The Vedas are giving a very clear understanding. According to your propensity, according to your expertise, you become engaged. If you like to teach, teach. If you like to fight, let the fighting become your occupation, Kshatriyas. Even fighting can become your occupation. If you like to trade, do that. And if you can't do anything yourself, depend upon others for your maintenance. Simple arrangement. But main thing is that act according to your propensity. The Vedic culture actually gives that propensity, the opportunity. Therefore, in the Vedic society, there is no question of unemployment. Everyone is employed. If you like to do something, do it. And if you can't even do it, can't take care of yourself as such, then the state will take care of you. King will take care of you. That was the king's occupation. Oh, you want to teach, you want to study, you want to, okay, fine. Take a piece of land, and if you need money, come to me, I will give you. The Brahmanas were maintained by the kings. And the kings, of course, they were ruling, and their business was to give protection to the citizens, and the citizens used to give tax, especially Vaishyas. They were the money makers. Making money is the occupation of a Vaishya or a businessman. That is their propensity. They like to do it. Krishi, and what is the occupation? What is the way of Vaishya's occupation? Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijya. cultivation of land, cultivation of protection of cows, and trading. Trading means get something from one place where it is easily available, bring it to some place where it is in demand. Supply and supply and demand. Demand and supply. Wherever there is demand, there is where it has to be supplied. And in the process of doing that, one makes his profit. A god brother of mine, he's from Jewish background, he told me that they learn business from their childhood. That's the opposite. They're actually Vaishyas. And their principle is get things where it costs nothing and sell it where it costs the most. And he told me that his first business venture was that his elder brother had a lot of marbles. You know marbles, like you play, like glass round balls, you play. He grew out of it, so he didn't play. So he told him, you are not using them, why don't you give them to me? So he got that. And then he took it to his friends and sold. He got it for free. And so he told me that was his first business venture. So, yes, one has to be smart enough to do that. And they would, it's not that everything came easy to them. They would take the risk of going to distant places. Things that are not available in some place, they would take it there, and things that are, like they would, the Indian traders, even the Italian traders like Marco Polo probably, you know, the Silk Route, like to go to India, all the way to China, from Europe. And also there was this going through sea. I mean, it is not that Columbus actually started the thing, travel through. For Europe he did, but in India, they're going to the eastern parts, like Indonesia, which is Java, so those days they were known as Java, Sumatra, Bali, Borneo. And they used to bring things from there for India. And they would take things from India and take there to sell. They used to go all the way to Madagascar for getting spices. Anyway, so this is how, when the society is like that, one is given the opportunity to act according to his propensity. Like some people, nowadays what's happening, there is no possibility of being engaged according to propensity. Like somebody who likes to paint, he has to take up a job in a factory as a factory worker. He likes to paint. That's what his passion is. But because by painting he can't earn his livelihood, he needs some steady income. He ends up becoming a laborer in a factory. Somebody who likes to study and teach, he ends up becoming a clerk in an office. And so anyway, so this is how the modern society is creating a total imbalance. Whereas if the Vedic culture is established, say Varnashram, everybody will be engaged. Because according to his propensity, he's engaged, he's happy, and livelihood. Only the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas were running after opulence. They used to lead an opulent life. The Kshatriyas, the kings and warriors, and they used to live palaces. And so are the Vaishyas, they also were opulent. But otherwise, the Brahmanas had a very simple lifestyle. The Kshatriya Sudras also was whatever was maintained, whatever was given to them, they were happy serving. And no, there was no exploitation. Everyone was actually helping each other, especially the Sudras. Prabhupada is pointing out, it's not that the Sudras are the lowest class of people. Sudras are treated in the Vedic, Sudras were treated in the Vedic society as the youngest brother. The youngest brother is not competent enough to take care of himself. So the other brothers, the elder brothers, are taking care of him. So that is how there is a family feeling of loving exchange between the individuals. So anyway, so what do we get to hear? The bottom line is, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, simple living, high thinking. High thinking means, think about the ultimate goal of life. Think about the ultimate consequence of life. Someday I'm going to die. How many people think that way? Everybody is thinking that, no, I'm not going to die. My doctor will give me some medicine that make me eternal, immortal. But everybody dies. But in the Western society, what's happening? They don't show you that people are dying. They hide them in a place where nobody can see them. So anyway, so the high thinking means thinking about the ultimate consequences of our existence. If I do this, then what will happen? Think about it. Like for example, if I tell a lie, then I'll have to suffer the consequence. I will be punished. Maybe not in this life. Even if the police doesn't catch me, but my karmic reaction is going to be there, and I have to suffer the consequence. If I cheat, if I steal, I will suffer. Therefore, don't do that. Don't do sinful activities. Don't indulge in sinful activities. Rather act in a pious way, because then the result will be, the outcome will be favorable. So in this way, people are made to think. So simple living and high thinking means this kind of thinking. And ultimately, what will happen to me at the time of death? What will happen to me after I die? In today's world, how many people think that way? Only Prabhupada is making us think that way. By coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada and his teachings, we have this understanding. Someday I'll die. And then what will happen? If I act in a wrong way, if I lead a life like that of an animal, then I'll end up becoming an animal in my next life. Do I want to become an animal? No. But there's an opportunity that I can be elevated to a higher form of existence. And the ultimate consideration is to develop my relationship with Krishna and go back to the spiritual world where Krishna is. Janti majjajino pimam. Krishna is giving. Those who worship me, they come back to me. And going back to the spiritual world is the ultimate goal. There is a consideration of elevation to heavenly planets. In Ramayana, there is a beautiful example. One sage, for him, a chariot came from heaven. Indra sent him a chariot. So he asked, what is there in heaven? He said, oh, there's so much enjoyment, this, that, this facility, that facility. He said, for how long will that facility last? Will it be forever? He said, no, as long as your piety is there, you'll have the facility. Then what will happen? When your piety is exhausted, then you have to come back again. So his response was, if I have to come back here again, then why should I go there? See how intelligent consideration, not immediate consideration. Oh, I'll have enjoyment. So many apsaras to enjoy with, and so many somaras to drink. Like, no, his consideration is that okay, fine, there is all this enjoyment, but for how long will this enjoyment last? For how long will this enjoyment last? As long as you have your piety. Because in exchange of your piety, you will get those facilities. What will happen if my piety gets exhausted? Oh well, then you have to come back here. Then why should I go there if I have to come back here? But tell me about some place where there is only endless enjoyment and no possibility of returning. Yes, there is a place like that. What is that? Spiritual world. Jadgatvana nivartante stadhama paramam. Once one goes there, there is no possibility of his coming back. So, anyway, actually we have to be eternally grateful to Srila Prabhupada for opening our eyes and giving us this transcendental knowledge. The purpose of joining ISKCON is simply to educate ourselves with this wisdom. And is this wisdom real or imaginary?
Real.
It's real. It's real wisdom. Whatever is spoken, whatever is stated in the scriptures is the truth and nothing but the truth. Okay, so I thought I'd give a short class. And so let's go to the initiation aspect now. Some devotees are getting initiated, meaning they're beginning their spiritual life. Initiation. Initiate means to begin.